The Forte Podcast, the only podcast that's created with the intent to bring its guests to you in person. How we doing that? The Forte Experience. The Forte Experience is a network party. That's right. It's a hybrid of a party and a network event in one. Our next network party is in November 2nd in ATL at Mode X Studios in Buckhead. So go to www.theforteexperience.com to get your tickets now before they sell out. See you there.
The problem is that most times people set goals and they're set low and they hit them.
You do that full time, hardcore, and you do investing on the side. So one, let's talk about what you do on the side, and then talk about how do you manage your time, bro.
What stocks he's investing in, right? Now, quick disclaimer, okay, we're not financial advisors, so we're not here advising you and telling you what to get in, right? Please do your own due diligence.
Everything is a mindset. Like if you read the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the biggest thing I took from that book outside of the cash flow quadrant, right? The 4 ways to make money, was just how to change your mindset. And so
whatever they build in research and development wise, as far as their accounts being in good place, whatever the case may be, like don't leave a company because it's dropping.
Right?
What's on the risk? What's on the risk?
Hey, listen, I wear Under Armour every day, but I always got a fly watch. I always got a fly watch. You know?
Welcome to the Forte Podcast. I'm your co-host, Dominic Epps.
And I'm your co-host, Randall Monfils.
And we are here to dive into your lane of greatness to discover what comes easy for you that may not be easy for all others.
Everyone's a genius, from the 9-to-5 employee to the Fortune 500 billionaire. We're here to highlight those attributes through dialogue and interviews with amazing guests.
Absolutely, and we have another amazing guest today, but I got one question for Tears. What's
up?
Your forte?
What's your forte? Let's go, man.
Let's go, man. Let's go. I'm going to give it to you one more time, man. All right, We're back in the building once again for another fire episode of the Forte Podcast. If you have not done so, make sure you go to YouTube, go to LinkedIn, go to Instagram, go to TikTok, go to Snapchat, go to Facebook. Did I miss something?
No, I think you got it. LinkedIn.
All right.
You said LinkedIn?
I said LinkedIn first. I gave you that LinkedIn action first. Go follow, subscribe to the Forte community. The Forte community. I know, bro, like ASAP, we need to go ahead and be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify because people have been asking. So we got to make sure we make that happen. We got to make that happen, right?
Got you.
Man, got to make that happen. How was your week, bro?
It was good, man. I got some good news Friday about a new business venture that I'm about to jump on.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's go. Is it? I mean, can you talk about it, or you waiting?
Nah, I want people to see it, man.
Okay, got you. That's that type of news. That type of news. Okay, that's dope. That's dope. Okay. All right. So another business venture coming up, right?
Yeah, man. And actually, let's talk about it, right? So, as those who've been watching this from day one, like I've been talking about how I'm 9-to-5 with entrepreneurship on the side, and Dom has been full-time entrepreneur for like almost a decade now, right? So this is the journey. This is me pivoting to be a full-time entrepreneur now. So just again, like it is possible. It's just that you just got to keep on grinding, keep on putting in the work, and then over time, you may not be one of those people like myself who are just like Dom, able to just jump into it and just dive in on the deep end. Like I slowly just test the waters and just got comfortable. And now you see in real time that I'm about to pivot and be full-time entrepreneur. But
let's go, man. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
That's dope, bro. I'm super amped and proud, man. And excited to see, this thing really, really open some more opportunities for you, man, to be able to go into this space, man. And it's totally different for you too. So I think it's going to be a challenge, but I know you're up for the challenge. You know what I mean? But that's totally different. Like, that's totally different, man. So that's pretty cool. So our listeners and our viewers, they're going to have to wait to see what we're talking about because I know what it is, but they're going to have to wait to see what it is. So that's pretty dope.
I think we make a whole episode talking about it. I think we make a whole episode, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. But look, man, we got another fire guest, man. So let me get you go ahead to introduce who we got on the show today, bro.
Bro, yo, so this is another longtime friend, probably over a decade now. Got introduced to him through another mutual friend. He's the true representation of hard work, right? From day one when I met him and got introduced to him, this guy is just grinding, man. Like he's one of those people, like he's able to just take an idea and just run with it and grind and grind and grind. So I'm gonna have Marvin Jones call for Mike and tell these people what's your forte.
Let's go.
Hey, good evening, gents. Hey, thanks for having me on the show. I'm super excited. How
Yeah,
you
man.
guys doing tonight?
Hey, we're good, bro.
Doing well,
We
man.
good. We good. We good.
I'm excited to get these gems. I know you about to drop some fire, so I'm ready to get it.
Hey, man, let's do it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
Marvin, tell
so
tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Let our viewers know who you are and where you're from.
Okay, yeah, I'm Marvin Jones. I go by the call sign Oscar Mike, which means on the move. I'm originally from East Baltimore, pretty much born and raised there. I lived in Virginia for a couple of years, but I spent most of my life in East Baltimore. Parents both were 16 when they had me. I grew up in a part of Baltimore. It's not even there anymore. It's called Flag House Projects. It's torn down now along with like Lexington Terrace and a lot of the other projects that were in Baltimore when I was growing up. And so, being as though I had two parents that were in high school, 16 years old when they had me, my grandmother raised me for my first couple of years. And then after that, I predominantly lived with my mom until I was about 13 or 14 years old. And then I went and lived with my dad until I graduated high school or whatever. That's early life. You have to ask a follow-on question for more.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
got it. So Marvin, so as I mentioned, like we've been rocking for about a decade. So I met you military, right? Prior military.
Yep.
Marvin's currently military, right? So how do you and like paint the picture, right? Because you're not just a regular officer, right? Like you've been a grinding officer since the day I met you. Right now you're a commander, right? And that doesn't come with you just half-assing. Like you do that full time, hardcore, and you do investing on the side. So one, let's talk about what you do on the side, and then talk about how do you manage your time, bro? Like, cause you lead in like over 100 sailors. I'm thinking like at the last command, like you leading mad sailors. There's a lot of time, and then you still able to carve out time, and you a family man, wife, 3 kids. Like, come on, like talk, share with the people on how they need to maximize their 24 hours.
Yeah, so I think that we get what we put in, and we get wherever we focus our attention. So yeah, I'm a naval officer. I was previously in command. Like you said, I pretty much had about 100 or so people under my command. I deployed to the South China Sea, the Guam, into the South Pacific mostly. I'm currently going into another position where I'll have probably about 320 sailors under my charge. I manage my time by being very organized. I'm a real estate investor on the side. I invest in the stock market heavily. And to be 100% honest, I'm actually really like a stock guy with like real estate on the side. Although I own about 18 doors, I predominantly invest in the stock market. Like I
Hold
love
on,
the
Marvin.
S&P
Hold
500.
on, hold
Oh,
on, bro.
okay.
Hold on. We ain't gonna let you say that and just fly past what you said, right? This brother says, "Yeah, I own 18 doors." Like 18
Yeah,
doors is nothing, right?
yeah.
So salute to you for just, man, 18 doors, man. I mean, bro, that's passive income, right? That's 18 checks. Let's talk about that. That's 18 checks, y'all. All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
The real estate, yeah, like you said, passive. I love passive income, and so when I first started in real estate, I started. When I got out the Marine Corps, I was originally enlisted in the Marine Corps, and so I served in the Marine Corps from pretty much like '99 to '06. And when I came home, the real estate market was jumping, and so I jumped in head first, started trying to flip houses, and fell flat on my face because by 2008, man, I was running with my tail between my legs. I pretty much lost everything. I had to pretty much like wholesale a house to get from under it. I did a deed in lieu of a foreclosure, where essentially I turned in the keys, and they gave me $3 grand for turning in the keys, or whatever the case. And I had to rebuild my credit and pay off a bunch of debt. Because as you know, when you're flipping houses, you take on a lot of debt if you're trying to use business credit cards, if you're
Absolutely.
borrowing from people, hard money lenders, whatever the case. But you got a ton of debt. And I accumulated a ton of debt. So I ran with my legs. I'm sorry, with my tail between my legs, and I took about 4 years to get my money back up, paid up all my debt, and then started stacking money. And I read a book called Debt Solutions, and I used to watch Money Talk every night. And so I just started investing in the stock market like crazy. Everything tanked around 2008. And so every paycheck, I would just invest whatever I had. If it was $500, $1,000, $200, whatever the case may be. And like maybe 4 years later, I had accumulated like $200,000. And then from there, I kind of started to think about getting back into the real estate game, since I pretty much had some capital that I could play with, moving forward. And so my first couple of doors, a buddy of mine was doing rentals down in Jacksonville. And so my first two rentals, when I started over, were down, or actually I still own them. They're down in Jacksonville, Florida. I bought two places. I went down to check it out, and I ended up buying two places. I bought one cash, and then I got a loan, 20% down on the second one, and that was the start of my portfolio. And so, um, when you talk about, for me, building wealth is buying and holding. I read, Warren Buffett's book, and I follow Warren Buffett, and you know, the way that he says is the best way to build wealth is buying and holding, being in an investment over a long period of time. So for me, when I started over, I stopped trying to flip. I actually did some wholesaling a little bit. I just concentrated on just buy and hold, fixing properties up, getting the renter in there, increasing the rents gradually over time, creating that passive income. And then I started to do the same in the stock market. I invest mostly in dividend stocks. Actually, I invest a lot in like REITs, so like Realty Income, AGNC, a couple of other, medical REITs, uh, things of that sort. And I love getting the dividend every month, because for me, I want to build wealth, but really what I want is I want to create cash flow. I want to buy more income for the futures, because one day, I might not necessarily want to get up and do anything. I might just want to drive a Porsche and smoke cigars and drink good bourbon.
Good, man. So listen, this is what I want to do real quick. I want to get back into your upbringing. So you talked about born in Baltimore, right? Your parents 16 years old when they had you. You grew up in the projects. Are you the only sibling? I mean, are you the only child? Did you have siblings? How were things, growing up? I know you said your grandmother, she raised you for your first couple of years. So how was it, man, growing up in the projects of Baltimore?
So my mom has five kids. I'm the oldest of five kids. It's me, and then I have four sisters, four younger sisters. My dad has six kids. No, my dad has five kids. Sorry, it's me and four younger sisters. So I have eight sisters, and me being the only boy on both sides. So growing up in the projects in Baltimore. I mean, I lived in Flag House projects. I lived in East Baltimore, West Baltimore. I lived in low income housing in Chase, Maryland, which is right outside of Baltimore. It was pretty tough, especially with being, the only boy. I grew up real aggressive, because I kind of had to be that way for survival. You don't really realize that you're growing up in trauma until you really kind of become a
Mm,
man and you see the world differently, and you stop being so hypersensitive to everything around you, and then kind of realize that like not everyone's out to get you, and that you can live a life that's not built on survival, but built for you to thrive. And so growing up, and I caught my first gun charge when I was 15. you know um things of that sort, running the streets, getting into trouble. My dad, when I was living with him my later teenage years, he tried to steer me in the right direction, but by that time I was already wild. And so I really wasn't trying to hear it. But luckily for me, I didn't do anything too crazy to put me away for too long. And I was able to kind of turn my life around. I left at 18 to join the Marine Corps. And when I went to the Marine Corps, I was around other men who were kind of like big brothers to me and mentored me and taught me a lot about being disciplined, about finances. I mean, when I grew up, we got money and you spent it. A tax return was like a bonus check in my community.
Mm.
When people receive that every month, I'm sorry, every year. And so, I started to change my mindset, and years later, I got tired of living paycheck to paycheck, and that's what really got me wanting to invest. That, and then the birth of my first son. When my first son was born, he was born in 2008 when everything crashed and I was dead broke. And I remember him when him being born and me holding him in his hand in my hands, and I just knew that I had to change my life. I knew I couldn't live paycheck to paycheck anymore. I knew that I had to build something for this little guy to grow up and have more than what I had, growing up. My parents did the best that they could with what they had, and I'm appreciative of that. But it's the goal is always for the next generation to get better, and so um, I started educating myself. Like I said, I read so many books. I watched Jim Cramer. I read Money Talks. Every publication I could get my hands on. I would see guys working on houses, and I would just stop past and just ask them what they were doing, because I knew nothing about fixing houses. I mean, even still to this day, I mean, I could do a little bit of work, but a lot of work that I do, I pay people to help me, or I pay people for their time to kind of mentor me, things of that sort.
Yeah,
Um,
listen, man. I've seen your videos, right? And me and Randall, we do just enough work for content, right? we can do
yeah,
just enough for content. Randall, what you got for him, bro?
Nah, I was gonna say is that as I heard you speak about your childhood and you were speaking about that you were in survival mode, but then you transitioned to the Marines and the military, and then you were around men that kind of help you like grow up, right? And find out how to like properly use that. So what I want to take away is that for the viewers is that you were able to turn your trauma in a sense, right, to something that you were able to fine tune to something that motivated you, right? Because you said you had the aggression, but you were using it in the wrong way, right? You had the survival mode, but you were using it in the wrong way. But once you got into the military and you were around other people who were able to give you insight on how to properly utilize your skill sets, right? And the books that you read, you were able to then like fine tune it and focus it on the right thing. Am I capturing that right? Do you think that's how kind of what drove you to where you are now, right? Taking bits and pieces from your childhood and then allowing that to guide you in what you do now.
absolutely, absolutely. It definitely, my parents gave me a lot of lessons and a lot of things. They taught me, hard work. Uh, they also taught me that when I start something, to finish it, and I kind of took that same mentality, to everything. And like you said, that aggression. I got super aggressive at, saving and investing. I got super hyper focused on, building something. For the next generation and the generation that's here now too. I got a big family, and every once in a while someone needs a little bit of help, and I feel good to be able to do that for them. But yeah, I mean, you hit the nail right on the head. All the past trauma, I kind of took that with me to the military, but I met some people who kind of helped teach me how to manage it and use it for good. And so yeah, you're right on the money with that.
So another thing I want to like, and this is probably been going a little bit Dr. Phil with this, right? But in because we mainly talk about entrepreneurship and trying to succeed, right? But succeed comes in different forms, and not always in monetary. Well, I want people to take away, right? Don't trauma is only your downfall to a certain extent if you don't seek help to then be able to work out of that trauma. Don't let the trauma as we become adults and as we grow and stuff, it's easier to blame what happened in our past as in hey, like I experienced this and then it's woes me, right? Not trying to marginalize what anybody has went through, but going through the help and seeking the proper mentorship will help you grow out of that and then
Mhm.
probably have so many more opportunities like Marvin has just shared come to fruition, right? So just keep that in mind, right? Like don't let the trauma be the only thing that's keeping you from your greatness.
And I want to add something, man, and this is something that listening to your story, Marvin, right, in regards to your upbringing, right, what it communicates to our viewers is this, is that because we have had guests on our show that you know, their upbringing may not have been as rough as yours, right? Then we had guests
Hmm.
that was on our show that, hey, they had a pretty tough upbringing. Father was an alcoholic, right? Um, but he worked his way up the ranks and was bold enough to ask his boss for $1 million investment, right? And then we have
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
someone like you who you work your way up, right? Like you
yeah,
started in the projects, but you didn't allow, where you were from to dictate what your outcome would be, right? And so I'm grateful because the projects gave you that grit, it gave you that grind, right? And so you still using that today. You're still using everything that you've learned today, man. That's pretty dope. So let's talk about stocks, man. I got a question for you. It's pretty red in the
okay.
streets right now. It's pretty red right now, right?
Nasty
Um,
out there.
yeah, yeah,
Nasty.
yeah. It's pretty nasty. And um, when you've read Warren Buffett books, right, and other investors, and one of the things that they talk about is that when people are afraid, that's the greatest opportunities, right? And
Oh,
so
yeah,
I've
yeah,
I've seen people, make posts about, oh man, we're going into this recession and this, that, and the third. And I commented on one of the posts, and I said, "Merry Christmas," right? So talk
that's
about
right. Got a
talk,
gift.
yeah, yeah. Talk about the mindset of a great investor, right? Because there are some people who they call themselves investors. They may put on a few courses here and there because they made, maybe one good lick, right? But investing is mainly emotional, right?
Hmm.
It's not that much of
Yeah.
a skill set. It's really about your emotions. So, can you talk about what makes an investor great?
Man, I tell you, being a great investor, you have to be very resilient and resolute. Okay. Um, like you said, talking about Buffett, he says invest when the blood's in the street. When everyone's running from it, you run towards it. When everyone is running towards it, you run from it. And so that's pretty much the way I invest. Like, I lost 10 grand in like a minute. What was that Monday? I lost 50,000. I lost 100,000. I lost. It's not really lost, right? Because I still own the stocks, right? But you have to know and have to build a plan that you can stick with to get to your end goal. So for me, my plan is to get to a certain amount that provide me a certain amount of dividends that's going to last me from whatever age X to until I leave the portfolio to my children, right? And so I begin everything with the end in mind, and knowing that I've gotten through it before. I lived through 2008. I lost everything in 2008. I no longer have any fear. I'm gonna tell you a story, and this is a pretty raw story. Maybe for some of your listeners, but when I was a kid, I was probably about maybe 8 or 9 years old. There was this kid in my neighborhood. His name was Paris, and I remember he used to chase me home from school all the time. So one day, Paris chased me home from school, and I ran through the house and I slammed the door. And my mom was like, boy, what's wrong with you? Why do you come? Why are you running through the door and slamming the door like that? And I was like, Paris chasing me. He chased me home. And she was like, really? Come on, let's go. And we walked to the front door and she's like, "Where's he at?" And I pointed him out. I was like, "He's right there." She's like, "That's him there?" And I was like, "Yes." She was like, "Well, go do what you gotta do." And she pushed me out the door and slammed the door. I couldn't run. I had to stay there and I had to be resilient and I had to fight, right? And so figuratively, I look at life like that too. That's the last time I ran. So I'm not running if the market is red. If I buy a house and it doesn't work out, like right now, I got a couple of rentals. I didn't get rent this month. Yeah, I got to put $3,000 or $4,000 up, $5,000 up to get those things turned after evictions or whatever the case may be. It's just part of the game for me. There's no backpedaling. There is no retreat. Okay, I'm in it for the long haul, and so if the investment after a certain time is not making money, especially on the houses, then maybe I'll look to offload some for the portfolio. But really, I'm a buy and hold guy. I told myself that's my plan, and that's what I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to stick with it, and so everything is a mindset. Like if you read the book. Rich Dad Poor Dad. The biggest thing I took from that book, outside of the cash flow quadrant, right, the 4 ways to make money,
Mm-hmm.
was just how to change your mindset. And so when you talked earlier about opportunities and being, from the PJs and things of that sort, this country, believe it or not, we have a lot of problems, but this is the best country in the world. Education is free. There's opportunities all around us. If I was dead broke right now and I had $10 in my pocket, I would go get um, I would go get a cooler, and I go buy three 24 packs of waters from Walmart that are like $3, and I'd be out in the front on the corner selling waters, and then I would get that money and I would go flip it, and I would keep doing it again until I got enough money up to make the next investment, and then I would go to the auction and I go buy a couple cars and I'd flip them. There's so much opportunity if you are looking in the right direction. If you have a woe is me mentality, that's exactly what you're going
Come
to get.
on,
You're going to
man.
continue
Come on,
woe is me.
man. Come on, man.
You know,
Listen, man.
you
I'm
know.
I'm I'm here in Atlanta, man, and the Water Boys in Atlanta are making money, right? They
Hmm.
are making money on the corner selling water bottles, right? The same 40 pack or 24 pack of waters you get from Walmart or Kroger or wherever, right? And they getting like $20 a bottle. It's donations, but they're consistent, right? Just got
Exactly.
back from the DR, man, and those kids with no shoes on are picking, flowers and grapes and selling them on the side of the road, right? And so Grant, I may not agree with all of his philosophies, but it's something that Grant Cardone said. He said, "Hurry up and fail." Right? Hurry up and
Yep.
fail. And most people are afraid of failure.
Hmm.
They are
They
afraid.
are.
They're afraid of failure, right? And so, for me, it's like, listen, this is a lesson. It's not a loss. And I love the way that you corrected yourself when you talked about, the thousands of dollars that have transpired negatively in the stock market for you. Right? You didn't lose the money, right? You didn't lose it. Now there are some people say, "Oh man, I don't lost millions, I don't lost thousands." But what did you gain? Right? Even when the
Exactly.
real estate crash, what did you gain? What knowledge, what information did you gain that's worth more? Right? There are people that when they are investing and they get that beginner's luck, right? And it's like, oh man, I'm doing it now. And then they start just going full speed ahead, and then they hit a brick wall. Everybody don't rebound.
Nope.
Everybody don't
Nope.
rebound. Some people fold, right? They fold and they go back to that comfort zone. They go back to that ship. And then there are those that burn that ship and say, listen, I ain't going back.
There's no going back.
It ain't no going back, right?
There's no going back.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
your story, man, is amazing, man. I'm not sure if you wrote a book yet, but
Nah, not
listen,
Yo,
yet.
I
I'm
think,
looking
yo, you got
forward.
one. You got
Yeah,
one.
Mm.
You
I'm
got
looking
one. Definitely.
forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting a copy of it because just to know you and to see your grind and to know what you're doing, man, I'm inspired now that I have more information about your background because I knew none of that. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
was willing to come on our podcast and share it, man. That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I love what you guys are doing, and that's why I hit Randall up. Like, I got to get some time, man. When can I get on? I love giving back to my community. I've done financial literacy, in our community. I mentor people. I had a mentorship service. It got a little hard for me to keep up with, so now I just take on mentors and just try to spread the knowledge because there's enough out here for all of us to eat. My niche in the real estate world is 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. They're easier to turn. People usually stay a little bit longer. It's a certain type of renter that you usually rent to that has a little bit more of a stable income. They just want a nice, clean, safe place to live. And it's done well for me. I used to do the 3 and 4 bedroom stuff. Those places are a little bit harder to turn. There's usually more people in the home. And so for me, I kind of, you know, when I redid my plan, I said, okay, I'm going to go after 2 bedroom, 2 baths, 2 bedroom, 1 baths, duplexes, and a lot of a mixture of dividend and growth stocks in my stock portfolio.
That's
Um,
good, man.
and so, yeah, and
So
so
let's
and so
let's
it's,
let's
it's
talk
been
about
working
community
out.
service real quick. I want to talk about that because we know that you're a mega Phi Psi, right? So let's talk about your yes, Q dog. So let's talk about let's talk about that in the community service part because you are very active in your community as well.
Absolutely. I do a lot of community service, especially raising money for scholarships for young kids. We actually have a all-white party at Time on the River on August 31st in Portsmouth. If anybody's in Portsmouth or the Hampton Roads area, please come out. We'd love to have you. Um, like I said, I provide, financial literacy. I do a coat drive every year. I usually buy coats. My business sponsors coats for kids who don't have coats, and we do toys for tots. We buy a bunch of toys. I just finished buying a couple of sneakers for kids who didn't have sneakers for back to school. I got a couple more that I need to purchase for some kids. You know, Another thing that I didn't really talk about before, and I really don't tell people this, but I'm gonna tell you guys on your podcast. When I became of age and I decided that I wanted to go into real estate, I said that I was going to buy real estate in every quote unquote hood that I lived in, right? So I lived in Baltimore. I owned a couple houses in Baltimore. I sold them back in 20 uh, late 2010, 2011, some other houses I had in Baltimore. But like I told you guys, I lived in Virginia for a little bit. My mom moved to Portsmouth, and I always wanted to provide affordable housing to people in my community. So I still, to this day, own 8 units in Portsmouth, where I provide affordable housing to people of my community, of our community, and that really makes me feel good. I mean, making money is great, right? And once you start making it, you soon realize that like having more money or having more stuff doesn't really make you happy. So for me, like a lot of the work that I do in the community, talking on this podcast, spending time with family and close friends, those things actually make me happier than buying, Rolexes and stuff like that.
Oh, you see that flex? You
Did,
see
did
that
he did
flex
he did
right
he did
there?
he do that? Did he do? Are we doing that
Oh,
now?
you see the flex?
Yeah,
You
let's
asked me what's
go.
my
Yo,
forte. You
Let's
asked me
go.
what's
yo,
my
Let's
that,
go.
forte.
Yes, sir.
what? Hey, that's gonna
Yes,
make it
sir.
on the highlight reel. That's gonna make it on the
Yeah,
highlight
yeah,
reel, bro.
absolutely, man. No, man, and I'm gonna tell you, man. I have the same philosophy, man. Like, I love purchasing and acquiring, assets, but when I get an opportunity to get one in my old neighborhood, man, it's special, man.
Special.
It's special, man. Like, yeah, I don't know. It just does something.
Yeah.
It really does something. So I totally understand that. Let's talk about as far as because Randall asked a question about as far as you managing your time. So you're a family man. You're in the Navy and you're over sailors, right? So you're officer in the Navy, right?
That's correct. Yep.
Um, then you're entrepreneur, investor, then community guy with your fraternity, right? How do you like? I know you talk about time management, but let's just be honest. Like, how do
It's a
you
lot of hats.
manage all of this, bro?
It's a
Like,
lot of
this
hats.
is
It's a lot
what's.
of hats.
Come
Yeah,
on,
you
man,
you
talk
have
to
to
us.
be. So another thing that I learned in the Marine Corps and then being in the military is to be super organized. Like my phone is everything to me. I have my schedule in my phone. I have contracts in my phone, accounts. I have property managers for all the properties that I own, but you still have to manage the property managers. Like real estate isn't 100% passive. And so, although having property managers frees up some of my time, I still have to manage them, work with them. I might need a turn on a property, and I might look at the punch list, and I'm managing it like, whoa, we just replaced this carpet. Why can't the carpet be cleaned? When they would just be willing to, charge me $1,000 for new carpet, things of that sort. But to answer the question, you have to be disciplined. You have to be very organized. And another thing, that you have to be, the word that we don't use a lot, you have to be intentional. Like I'm very intentional in the things that I do. When it's family time, I'm 100% there and I'm doing family time stuff. When it's work time, I'm 100% there and I'm doing work time stuff. When it's investing time, I'm 100% there. I'm 100% there and I'm investing. But I usually get up, like today I got up at about 4 a.m. I went, I worked out Anton Daniels, uh, the Millionaire Morning Show. Uh, and then I came back and I started looking at futures and seeing like what the market was doing. I was like, oh, it looks like the market's having a little bounce back today. So I put in a couple of trades for today. And then I went and I had breakfast, went to school all day, came back, got ready for your podcast. And then I got two or three other things that I'm going to be doing tonight to kind of organize my portfolio. I got a couple of emails that I need to send off to property managers, some things for my kids, and so, I keep a detailed list of exactly how many shares I want of each stock, right? So, for
Mm,
example, like Realty Income is like one of my favorite REITs. It's like, I want to get to the point, it trade right now, it's trading about $60 a share. Like, I need to get to the point where I'm at like 3,000 shares, right? And I'm dollar cost averaging in. So that means I'm, taking a set amount of money every month or every week and I'm putting it in and I'm buying shares. And then when I get, a little bit more money, I'll put a big lump sum down, right? But my goal is to get to 3,000 shares to get to the amount of money I want to have so that I don't want to have to work. So for me, that goal would be, maybe 30, 40,000 a month passively, right? Because I probably will still work or do something or start another business. But, personally, I want to get to the point where I'm making 30, $40,000 passively just, for waking up in the morning. I don't know. What do you guys think?
no, I
That
love
sounds
it.
like
I
a
think it's
solid
dope.
plan. Like, what do you? Who gonna
Yeah.
say no to 30, 40K passively? I think that's a solid plan right there,
Passively?
bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, take
that's
that all
it,
day,
man.
yo.
That's it,
But
Yeah.
all right, but what I want to say, for the viewers, right? Everybody gets caught up. Like Instagram will have you be like, oh, 30, 40K. Like, man, let's sign me up. Nah, it's gonna be so much work. It's gonna be a lot of experience that you have to failures, right? And as long as you keep on
Yeah,
pushing through and you stay on that journey, you can get to 30, 40K. It's not going to be in a month. It's not going to be in a year. It's probably going to take like Marvin's already been doing it for 10 years. You probably add another 10 years and he gets to that, right? Who knows? But what I'm saying is that you got to push through the storm. There will be a storm. 30, 40K a month doesn't happen overnight. There's going to be a lot of lessons learned, a lot of experiences you have to go through, but push through and you could get there.
Hey man, listen, that right there, we got a lot. We got a lot tonight on this. We got a lot, right? We got a lot of nuggets, man. And for those of you watching, you may want to watch this a few times. You may want to watch this a few times because the brother dropped some nuggets. He dropped some gems that was pretty fire. And I really hope that you all was listening to those gems, from stocks, what stocks he's investing in. Right now, quick disclaimer. Okay, we're not financial advisors, so we're not here advising you and telling you what to get in.
right.
Right? Please do your own due diligence. But the fact that you shared from stocks, from real estate, right? What you're doing, and every day you still get up to go work.
I do.
I,
Yeah,
I need y'all to
I love
understand
working.
this. I need y'all to understand this.
Yeah,
This brother gets up to go work, right? He's working on his health. He talked about going to the gym, right? Jamal King talks about the 5 pillars, right? So he's working on his health. He's working on his family, right? He's working in his finances. Like, come on, y'all. This is working in his community. This is dope, man. Listen, y'all. There's some amazing people in
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
this
man.
earth, and there's some great black men in this earth. And we're so honored to have you on the show today, man. Hey, we appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate it.
Appreciate you. So,
I
Randall,
Yeah,
appreciate
go
man.
ahead
it.
and ask him the
Appreciate it.
$1 million question, Randall. You got to ask him the $1 million question before we close out.
Well, I think he kind of talked about it. Like, normally we end the podcast, Marvin, with asking the guests what their 1 to 5 year goals. So would you say 30 to 40K? Like what's your I don't want to assume. So I'm just gonna ask you, what's your 1 to 5 year goals for what you got going on?
So, first and foremost, my 1 to 5 year goals is really to strengthen relationships with people around me. I've been in the military, coming up on 25 years now, and my relationship with like family and friends, I'm not the best at keeping in touch. So I'm trying to be more intentional in that, strengthening relationships. Some of my, 1 to 5 year goals is, setting my children up to, hopefully they'll get, scholarships, things of that sort. Um, my health, making sure that, men in my family have had a lot of health issues, right? So I've been very intentional about my health. I just recently lost some weight. I'm still trying to lose another, 10 pounds, eating right, things of that sort. And another, I have so many things that I want to do. Be the best example I can be for my community. Be the best officer that I can be. And as far as like, yeah, monetary goes, yeah, that 30, 40K, that's up there, right? And then some of that, just to be 100% transparent, right? I'll receive a pension from the military, and potentially even two pensions, right? And so that kind of helps out with eating into that 30 or 40K. But the rest of the money is going to have to come from entrepreneurship. And Randall, you said something that I don't know if they really picked that up out there, that there's going to be some storms, right? But you set the goal so high that, let's say, if you only get 29,000, right? Are you going to complain about that?
Nah. No, nah.
So that's what you do. Your goals have to scare you. See, the problem is that most time people set goals and they're set low and they hit them, right?
Mm.
Your goals should scare you. It should be like, I gotta
Mm.
hustle, I gotta get
Let's
to it,
go.
like I gotta
Let's
get after
go.
it. Like every day I wake up, and I tell my sons this, like every morning when I wake up to go to the gym, you have to get up. A man has to be useful. Okay, you need to get out. You need to obtain skills. Let me show you how to paint. Let me show you how to fix things. You need to go and you need to work out. Let me show you how money actually works in this country. We don't really teach how money actually works in this country. And so I actually show my kids how I break deals down. I show them how, the expenses, there's a lot of expenses involved in buy and hold real estate. Okay. Sometimes buy and hold real estate is not the best cash flowing asset, but it's one of the best wealth building assets. And I'll let your listeners kind of do their research about that, because there's a lot of incentives in buy and hold real estate.
Man, man, that's
Yo, there's
it,
something else
man.
I gotta say. Like,
Yeah.
and I want to hit it twofold, right? Like you said that you're like your goal has to scare you. And what made me, and I was thinking about this earlier when you're talking about stocks and running away from stocks, or going towards stocks when everybody was running away from stocks. And I was thinking about Elon Musk, right? Elon Musk jumps back and forth between the most richest person in the world to the second richest, and so on and so forth. And it's all because his money is mainly in stocks. And if
Hmm.
like right now, I'm pretty sure he's dropped to probably number two, well, not number three, but number two, because his stocks drop. But do you think he sells all his shares? No. 2 weeks from now, he'll be back to number one, right? That's one part. So just to hit the stock part, right? Like, don't give up your shares, right? You have equity in a company. If you believe in the company and what they have going on, as far as whatever they build in research and development wise, as far as their accounts being in good place, whatever the case may be, like don't leave a company because it's dropping. I'm pretty sure most people who are real investors understand that. But more so when it came to what you just said about your dreams scare you. There's a saying: don't shoot for the stars. Shoot for the stars. In worst case, you fall, like you'll hit the moon or land on the moon. Elon Musk wants to put people on Mars. If you don't,
Yeah.
if that's a dream out of this world. There's no. I'm not even shocked that he's number one as far as or back and forth number one as richest person in the world, because he's literally shooting for the stars. So use that as example of like, yo, dream big,
Yeah.
and don't be scared of the failure in the process of you dreaming big.
Come on, man. So you
Another
just
thing
go
I
ahead. Go
want
ahead.
to touch
Go ahead,
on. Sorry,
Marvin.
sorry.
Let's
Another thing
go.
I want to touch on. That a lot of people don't understand how money really works in this country. You have to own things. You have to have assets. And once you have assets, you talk about Elon Musk. Elon Musk borrowed uh, the money for Twitter, right? Using his stocks as collateral. You can do the same to get single family homes or buy and hold real estate. If you have 500,000, $1 million in stocks, you can use that as collateral to borrow money off of it. Use it as down payments. You can buy homes outright. There's so many different ways you can do it, but it takes that 5 or 6 years of grind to kind of save that money up. And I don't care if you got to cut grass. I've cut grass. I've worked two jobs. I've bought and sold things on Facebook Messenger, things like that. Once you are able to hustle up the money and start buying assets, then you borrow off those assets to buy even more cash flowing assets. I learned that from Robert Kiyosaki when he talked about good debt. I was using debt when I grew up to buy Guess jeans and Carl Kanai shirts, Jacob watches, stupid stuff, right?
What's on the
Buying Air
wrist? What's on
Force
the
One.
wrist?
Hey, listen, I wear Under Armour every day, but I always got a fly watch, baby. I always got a fly watch. Yeah. But really, if you change your mindset, right, and grind it out for a couple of years, and you guys do it, and I've been watching you guys from near and far, right? Um, you build up those assets, and sometimes you sell them off. As I say, if I went and I bought a restaurant, and I want to get out of the restaurant business, I have that asset, or if I needed money, I would sell that business. If I really needed money right now, I could sell one of my assets. I could sell my stocks. Like, if something happened to someone in my family and they need somewhere to live, I have places where they can live. Like, so that's really what it's all about, right? There's people who are not even from this country to come to this country and buy assets and are able to build communities. If we come together as a community, like you guys partnering, we can go way further together.
Let's go, man.
Yep. Yep.
Listen, this was a mastermind session, by the way. Y'all need to make sure. Let me make sure I go ahead and tell our story about this right quick. Y'all need to make sure y'all in the building November the 2nd, because the mastermind portion is going to give you what y'all just got right here times 10. Right? Times 10, by the way. As you was talking, Marvin, I was thinking about, our coffee shop, right? And I had, this multimillionaire guy. He's like a mentor to me, right? And he came in one day and sat down and wanted to talk, right? And so we're just chatting or whatever the case may be. And then he says to me, he says, you never asked me for no money, right? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, I never knew I could ask you for money, right? You know what I'm saying? And he owns a lot of real estate or whatever. And he said something to me. He says, he said, I'm now leaving my kids notes instead of deeds.
Mm.
He said, so he says, so what he's doing, he's changed his model, right? Like, he has a lot of rental property. His rental portfolio is crazy, from commercial and residential. And he says, I'm leaving my kids notes, mortgage notes, instead of deeds, right? And that same coffee shop, man, when we move from Virginia to Georgia, right? Bro, that's what we did. Hey, owner finance. Let's turn this into a note.
That's right.
We could have easily rented it, right? Let's rent it out, right? And what happens is, people, because of your mindset, people think they have to own everything, right? They have to own everything 100%, or they have to, their name have to be on it. Listen, another company owns the building, but they pay us a mortgage note.
That's right.
I don't have to worry about if the AC breaks down. I don't have to do anything with the building. Nothing. Like, and if they don't pay the note, guess what? We get the property back. When he said
foreclose on
that,
the property, get it back.
Bro, when he said it was a game changer for me, I was like, okay, I'm listening. I'm listening, because, yes, we acquire assets, but you read, cash flow quadrant, right? You know about the banks and what they consider to be an asset. Right? And
that's right.
A column on most P&Ls that most entrepreneurs do not have on their asset column is notes.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
It's probably zero for most people on that asset column when it has notes. You got real estate filled out. Boom, you got real estate.
You got stocks, you got bonds.
You got bonds, but when it says notes, you probably got a big zero.
Yeah, I have a zero when it comes to notes.
It's a game changer.
Zero when it comes to notes.
It's
definitely
it's a game changer. And I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna leave the rest. Hey, Randall, we need a Patreon, man. We got to get one. Start talking about it. But you can create a mortgage note and still have a mortgage on the property. I'm gonna say it again.
And now you dropping dimes.
Yeah.
Now you give it out. Now you give it out the game. This is definitely a mastermind.
You can have a mortgage note and still have a mortgage on the property. You will be considered the second lien holder. So your mortgage is the first lien holder. You are the second lien holder, right? And their mortgage as a second lien holder will pay for the first and pay your second, which is basically all profit.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's all I got. That's it.
I love it,
sure?
man.
Yeah.
I love it.
You
I
sure that's
love
all
it.
you got?
That's
You
it,
sure
man.
that's
That's
all
it.
you
love
Hey,
it.
they got to get a
Okay.
ticket, man. Come to the Forte
They got to get a
experience on
ticket,
November
man.
the 2nd.
You can't
Yeah,
give them
yeah.
everything.
Can't give them
They
everything.
got to come. They got to show up.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
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 man.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. But
Marvin,
Marvin,
again,
you talked
man.
about reading
Appreciate it.
books. Like, did y'all listen? Like, this guy he didn't just wake up one day and say, "Oh, I'm going to do this." He dropped several books that he's read, right? And I think all of us have read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right? Robert Kiyosaki has been like the guy.
Anybody
right?
in real estate,
Of course,
I
Yeah.
think,
right?
yo, for
Right.
real.
You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Warren Buffett, all of these amazing guys. You talked about Money Talks. Hey, come on, man. Kramer, like, these are people that in our community, they don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Peter
know
Lynch.
they
Beating the Street. That was a good book.
Come on, man. They know about all of these, radio shows and radio personalities and hip hop artists. But when we're talking about the money,
Yeah.
have you followed the money? That's where it's at. So
It's crazy because I got different sets of friends, military friends I grew up with, fraternity brothers, things of that sort. But one group of friends that I hang out with, we were having a conversation, and the conversation was about football, and everyone could tell each one of us every stat from their football team. But when I started talking about could they name a couple of companies on the S&P 500, they kind of looked at me crazy. They didn't even know, what I was talking about. And then so I started asking people, what is your 401k in? Most people couldn't even tell me what their 401k was in. What companies that they say, oh, it's in T. Rowe Price. T. Rowe Price, what?
mm,
What is it tracking?
right,
You know,
right.
we just don't understand. And the crazy thing is, right? There's so much information on the internet. The internet is the great equalizer. The information is there. There's so many YouTube videos. Like, I drop videos, maybe 50, 100, 200 people, 600 people watch them, 1,000 people watch them on TikTok, something like that. I just drop them when I'm coming back from the gym if I have something to say. And it's mostly just motivating people to invest. And mostly I'm targeting new investors, people who need to get started. So I'm just telling them, like, look, you can do it. Here's a couple of things that I do, right? But I'm telling you, man, it hurts me that when I look around and I go to the functions, and there's people who I'm looking at them, and they're wearing $1,000 jeans, but they can't tell me what's in their 401k.
Come on, man.
That
Come
hurts
on,
me.
man. Come on,
That
man.
hurts me.
So listen, man, I'm gonna throw it out here because as you're talking, there's a lot of information that's being shared, right? I think we need to go ahead and put together a free, and I'm saying free this time for real, because I'm saying for our community. I would love for college and high school students, right, for us to be able to create some type of virtual workshop, in-person workshop, it doesn't matter, and we give them this information. Right?
Cool.
Like, we give them this information. Like, listen, here's a link. Hop on this day, this time, and we're going to make this so plain to you. One of the things that blessed me, man, was a young fella, 12 years old in middle school, right? In middle school. And every year, the business teacher, like, he invited me to come back this year, right? He had business owners to come into the room, into his business class, and to kind of mentor some of the kids, right? They had a project they had to do, come up with a business concept, right? And everybody's coming up with, like, lawn care, doing like tech repair, like computer repairs and things like that, because a very diverse school, right? This kid, 12 years old, he says he wants to start his own stock business. Had an amazing name, right? Name is Yebby. His name is Yebby, right? And the teacher kind of looked at him like, are you sure? Right? I knew the kid knew his stuff, so I quizzed him, right? So I said, let me ask him some questions. Let me just ask some basic questions, because he talked about stocks and Forex, right? So I said, okay, well, let me just ask him, okay, what does it mean to go short? Right? What does bullish means? What does bearish? Just basic and he was killing it. So I said, hold on, man. I got my laptop out, or his out, right? And I said, all right, show me how you chart. Show me what is candlesticks. And when he broke down, this is the opening, this is the closing. And then he said this, he has a portfolio of $60,000, but because he's not old enough, it's in his, I think he said his mom or his aunt's name. I said, wow. But this is what tripped me out. Everybody had to say what their goal was for their business in the next like 1 to 3 years. He said his was $12 million.
Man.
12.
Hey,
I felt
you still know this kid?
Listen, listen.
Right?
I felt I recorded it. I got the video. I recorded it, man. The fact that I'm gonna tell you, man, the fact that this kid's 12 years old, young, black, and his mindset, he's on something that most kids are not on, right? And I said, listen, man, I said, here's what you can do. I said, during lunchtime in the cafeteria, I said, this is how you can create you can scale your business, right? Because, he's a day trader. But I said, listen, man, you in school all day, right? I said, but what you can do is during lunch, you can train other kids how to trade, right? I said, now you can build your team, and during lunch where everybody's kind of messing around, doing crazy stuff, you can have like 10 kids at the table with laptops out, and y'all can go ham. You can go crazy.
Absolutely.
You can go crazy, right? So listen, bro, let's do it. Let's put it together. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
Let's put it out there, man, and let's do it. And let's go ahead and, give these kids something, man, that can help them go further, because it's really about them taking what we know and just taking it way above, doing way more with it than what we could do with it. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Man. I'm with it. Let's do it.
Hey, this was dope, man. This was dope, man. Yeah. This was dope. Well, listen, y'all, this was a fire episode. Normally, me and Randall would talk after this, but we're going to end it just right here. There's nothing else to say. We ain't got nothing else to say. Like, y'all need to replay this, take some notes, and just make sure y'all come to the Forte experience, man. Hey, we out of here, man.
When is it? Hold on real quick. When is it? When's the Forte experience is when?
November
2nd.
Buckhead, here we come. Let's go. Not Bankhead. Not Bankhead. We in Buckhead. So y'all make sure y'all in the building. We out of here.
Peace. What's your forte?